4th, 2015, 7 p.m. work session on the River Edge Mayor and Council. Adequate notice of this meeting has been made by sending out notices on December 5th, 2014 to the Ridgewood News and the Record, positioning notice on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Borough Hall, filing a notice of this meeting with the municipal clerk. I'd like to remind all members of the public that we have 3 fire exits in council chambers, 1 to the rear and 2 to the side of the dais. In addition, we are being recorded both on audio and video for purposes of creating a public record during the meeting. If any member of the public wishes to be heard, they need only identify themselves for the record, and then they can make any statement that they so desire. Can I have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Cole?
Here.
Councilman Steve?
Here.
Councilman Young?
Here.
Councilman Astrado is absent with prior notice, and Councilman Papaleo.
Here.
Please let the record reflect that Mayor Mastromatolo and Borough Attorney Thomas Barlow are also present.
All right, this evening we have 3 borough administrator topics. Alan, could you please report on the stormwater and the employment practice training?
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 outstanding training sessions for 2 elected officials on the stormwater. So we'll get that information out to them. But if it's not completed, maybe by the next meeting, we would ask them to come in and just view it on one of our computers. It won't take long just to complete that training. So we're almost there on the stormwater.
How about employment practices?
Employment practice, we have 3 outstanding training sessions for 3 elected officials, and the deadline is June 1st. This is where we would get a $250 reduction in our assessment for each one of the training sessions. So this is important that we accomplish this on a timely basis. So we'll send out a reminder after today, and hopefully we'll get that done online.
Thank you.
Council elected to do these electronically rather than visit one of the in-person seminars.
Right. Okay, next is the purchase of an ambulance for the Department of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. John Lynch, the Superintendent of Public Works, has made a recommendation that the borough consider purchasing the ambulance, which is scheduled to be replaced either this year or next year. Currently utilizes a 1999 GMC for the purpose of sewer and storm drain maintenance and construction. This vehicle also carries confined space equipment. The truck is in desperate need of repair. The floorboards and the truck cabinets have rust. They've installed some metal street signs as a temporary repair. There are other holes, rotted holes throughout the truck, and he has some issues starting the vehicle as well. The rear braking system and the rear suspension needs repair as well. So he was hoping to replace it with the ambulance vehicle, which he feels is in very good shape. A replacement vehicle for this purpose would cost about $100,000. The ambulance service, as we understand it, is asking $10,000 for the vehicle. Like I said, I'm not sure it's scheduled for replacement this year or possibly next year.
Okay.
Mayor, if I might, Ed, your DPW liaison, have you talked to John about this, and what is your feeling?
John had mentioned this during the budget process, and it never came up, so I didn't know whether he was, or if he knew whether they were actually going forward with replacing it or not. But I guess that's part of the question, is what their timing is. John thought it was a appropriate thing. I haven't seen the vehicle. I don't know, so I really can't speak to whether I thought it was a good idea or not. But John's recommendation was to do this. In fact, I think originally he thought it might have actually been worth more than it is. I don't know whether that's a reflection on the condition or whatever, so I don't know.
So, Alan, are you asking for a resolution? Are you simply bringing it up for discussion? I mean, there seems to be a timeline question. I'm wondering what if anything, John or you or the ambulance corps is thinking would be our appropriate next step.
Well, I I think you might have some ambulance corps members here tonight to accept a proclamation, and perhaps if they're officials of the service, they might be able to answer that timing question for you. While it was raised early on, there is no funding presently to pay $10,000. If it was, $1, we could come up with the $1, I'm sure. But for $10,000, we don't have funding available for this right now.
Depending on the timing of their ambulance purchase, we do have $30,000 in this budget for that.
That's a contribution for the ambulance purchase.
If that's not fully going to be expended this year, we would have that, and then if there was a transfer later in the year, we could transfer the money back in.
Well, we've already encumbered it, as a payment to them, made it payable to them,
But is that premature, or is it they need the money now?
It's a contribution, contribution gets paid, when and if they invoice us, and it's been adopted in the budget for that purpose.
So if they don't buy the ambulance this year, we still gave them, they can hold it till next year.
Right now, if I don't receive a request for it, I'm going to hold on to it as an accounts
I guess
payable.
I'm not clear then. We haven't received a request yet then.
No, we haven't.
So it's been encumbered as...
I've asked for a letter or something to back up the payment.
Okay, but it's a moot question until they get their new ambulance, because they're not going to give it up before then. Is that correct?
I would believe so, sure.
All right. So we do need to hear from them when they think they're going to go through this process. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Next is we have Patricia Courts here from the Board of Health to speak about the a vendor's permit. Patricia, come on.
Okay. So I'm the president of the Board of Health, and it's come to our attention that we do not have any ordinance whatsoever about food vendors doing temporary selling here in River Edge. And that includes the farmer's market, and it includes looking at the schools when they order out lunches from different food services here in River Edge. And we have unanimously decided to pursue instituting an ordinance and fee that's negotiable pertaining to daycares, schools, farmers markets, carnivals, or any other town events selling or serving food items. The board would like the food vendor to obtain a Board of Health permit from River Edge. With the application for this Board of Health permit, the vendor must provide a Board of Health license from the municipality in which it is located. In addition, a copy of the food manager or food handler certification would also be required. An on-site inspection would be performed from our health inspector as well. Many towns in our area have ordinances and fees in place regarding temporary food licenses. The board is concerned about the possible food-related illness in which we have no way to track down the source providing the food. If there is an outbreak in which we need to investigate, we have nothing on record. Providing consumer information, issuing public health advisories, and assisting in the investigation of foodborne outbreaks are what we do for the Department of Health. Local Department of Health needs to meet the requirements of the state public health laws and regulations. Now, examining this, we've talked about this in our Board of Health meetings. There's a couple of municipalities that do charge a fee. Now, the Bergen County Health Department itself does charge a fee of $75, and they charge promoter fees of $300. Oradell does $25, but New Milford and Hasbrook Heights are nothing. And Paramus, a temporary vendor's fee for 1 to 3 days is $75. Now, we understand that charging somebody who already is paying other licenses is not attractive to them, and we don't want to disparage them from coming here. So I could bring it to the board that we don't have to charge. I'm fine with that. But we need some accountability as to making sure these people who come in have licenses, are clean, are doing everything regulatory, so that there's no outbreak of any kind of illnesses like salmonella from spinach. And the person we feel that would be in charge of that would be the person who is putting the promotion together. All we want is the paperwork. We want them to come to us to get the permit. So we have some kind of accountability. The carnival, I know it's Johnny Barco, I think, who used to run it, put everything together, well, whoever. He would be in charge of getting all the licenses from all the different vendors that are participating in the carnival. Whoever's in charge of the farmers market would be in charge of getting all their licenses and paperwork together for us to have on our record. We will go to the PTO and who's ever in charge of the lunches, just to get the health inspection certification from the pizzeria, from the Chinese place that we get the foods from. We do not want to charge any kind of for-profit organizations. We don't want to charge them, the school, the churches. And we talked about the farmers market. We don't want to. We want people to come to our town, and so we don't want them to be fearful of paying more money since they have to pay it to Bergen County. And I'm sure the Board of Health will be fine with that, and I will bring it to them in our next meeting. Yes.
Last year, we did have that gal who does a bunch of towns. What's her name? The inspector?
Oh, the inspector, Joanna.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she came by, I gave her paperwork, she seemed satisfied with that.
Okay, great.
I did go and request, so I have, all the paperwork from the vendors coming in this year, which we're going to submit. And if you, if there's no fee, that would be the greatest thing, because the margins are very small.
Sure.
And it would be just a nice thing to offer to people, and everyone's
Absolutely.
happy. But
We just want it in one place.
Yeah.
So we have accountability for everything, just in case there's ever an outbreak.
like, I went online to try to see the health department form, and it's not put online.
Bergen County,
No, for our town.
we don't have one.
Okay.
That's why we're pursuing an ordinance.
Okay.
If I went on all the other towns and they do, and I have copies of their temporary food license permit applications, I have the Bergen County, and temporary vendors, but we don't have one. That's why we want to institute one.
Mr. Coppola had his hand up first.
Thank you. So, out of curiosity, if XYZ Pizzeria, a block away, they have their health licensing, really appropriate paperwork, and they're going to be at the farmer's market, so we would require another form of...
No, we just want a copy of all their licensing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, right.
Because they get inspected. For an institution to serve here in River Edge, they need to be inspected. They will have a license.
Right.
We just want that annual copy.
Right.
That everything has been certified.
Right.
And then Joanna, when she makes her inspections, she will then, on our paperwork,
Yeah.
say that...
So there's no
everything is-
additional licensing, it's just the one they already
Right.
have in their window, whatever, just
Right.
take a copy of that.
Yeah, because they need to do that every year.
Right. Thank you.
If we want to get, use a pizza place in New Milford for the schools, we want a copy of their permits that they have through their municipality, and just keep on record for us. It's just a matter of just having everything
fair.
organized in one area.
Ellen?
Thank you. How often would you be requiring these?
Annually.
Annually. So if they're a vendor at the farmer's market and then they're a vendor at July 4th, as long as they do it once a year, that's satisfactory.
That's satisfactory.
Thank you.
Ed?
How is this different from the food handler's certificate requirement we have now?
We don't have one.
But we do.
I
And
don't see one.
Yeah, we have a food...
we do, we have a food
handler's
handler certification requirement now, and maybe
For-
there's some
no, for the
gray area in
restaurant.
the definitions, but it seems to cover everything that you want to do. And I'm wondering if maybe it's revisiting that ordinance and expanding the scope, because it talks about fixed mobile restaurants, coffee sandwich shop, private, public, nonprofit, institutional, catering, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the ordinance, so maybe it's a matter of just punching up the
Okay,
language
then
there.
I was told that
And
we
then-
don't, and I looked online and I didn't see one.
And then the second question I have is, does this apply to, say, snack stands, like at the Little League field? And like when the AOH comes and does 4th of July and they're cooking hot dogs and hamburgers, who's going
Yeah.
to be responsible for?
Right, well, whoever's in charge of that, whether if it's the Booster Club, whoever's in charge of running that snack stand.
They have to have a food handler's license?
Would there be a
Sure, this is somebody from the organization that has taken the food handler license, not somebody that's on
Right, no,
the
just-
premise at all
right.
times, but somebody that... And they should get a blanket permit, so if the Little League starts in April, 2 weeks prior to the start, they should apply and have their kitchen inspected, make sure everything's in working order, and it should then run from April through whatever,
Correct.
But
September.
if I'm guessing where the cracks are in the system now, it's basically for like temporary vendors. It's
Yes.
not obviously the restaurants and everything
No.
else. So maybe it's a matter of just trying to work the language in our current ordinance to
Well,
make
right, but I do want the people who work in the concession stand at the Little League to have good hygiene, you know, if they're gonna...
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying,
Right.
I'm just trying to make the process
Yeah.
more competent and
Right.
not have
It's not
different. And I said I don't like
fine
passing
anybody, it's
ordinances.
for anybody, it's just to have some accountability.
You also indicate those schools and daycares. I
Yes.
mean, they usually require, the daycares are cooking food? Do you have daycares?
No,
actually
no,
cook
what
food?
they're doing is we'll have pizza day. Every Friday will be pizza day, and they'll be ordering pizza from, say, Savino's. So they just need to have a copy of Savino's or whoever kitchen they use to just get a copy of their restaurant's license.
But
But can't we have that as a database?
that's just like, I'm not trying to be a devil's advocate.
No, it's okay.
But if Savino's or whoever it is delivers 10 pizzas to the school for lunch,
Mhm.
and they serve the pizza,
414.
and you want a copy of their license, what's different from when I call Savino's and they bring a pizza pie to my house?
Because you're private. This is a public institution that's serving kids.
Okay, all right. Well, that makes sense.
You know, so
Right.
if there's an outbreak of anything, we'll be able to tell from...
My next question is, some of the very local community organizations that we have that do like a spaghetti dinner or a pancake breakfast, would they have to have a
temporary permit?
for that one event? Like if we, like a cake sale or a pie sale or a cookie sale?
Right. They're not cooking on the premise. I mean, like bake sales, people are bringing that in, and we're not going to be that strict on bake sales. But to be honest with you, if the Lions Club is doing a pancake breakfast, and they're cooking on the premise,
Right,
you know...
if they cook in the kitchen at the
Right.
First Congregation Church.
Right, we want to make sure the kitchen's nice and clean, that there's no, you know...
But isn't that kitchen inspected once a year by the Board of Health anyway?
Right, that's all we need, is that inspection.
Okay.
You know, we just want to have everything all together.
I think it's a great idea to try to keep track of it, but I think from the letter, it said, you know, 501Cs and bake sales at the school and stuff like that. You know, there's just a little discrepancy where you have professional people that go for food handlers, and then when people bring stuff in from home, you don't know the conditions of the house that it's coming from. They could be cats and rats and everything else running all over the place, and then they're bringing it somewhere. You know, so...
But it's to where, like...
So like the school bake sale or any
Right.
kind of thing like that.
Right, but that is not cooking on the premise.
Right. But there could be an outbreak like from them bringing stuff in,
There could
you
be.
know?
There always could be.
So, you know, where you have a professional kitchen that has more oversight, you know, it seems that these other type of things, you don't know where it's coming from. Like, I don't think we've had any kind of issues so far, right?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, that's what I had a question as to whether or not are there statistics or reports, or has there been any recent outbreaks of food poisoning in the borough that
No.
you're aware of? Okay.
Nope.
Yes.
Perhaps the next step would be for the Board of Health to look at the existing ordinance that's
That
on
would
the
be
books
great.
that Councilman Mignon has...
Do you have that number, Ed?
I'd
like you to look at it.
And perhaps there's an opportunity to tighten up what exists as opposed to grab something new.
And where did I
442.
see that? Because I looked online.
The E-code.
Yep, Borough Code, Chapter...
What was the number?
It's
442.
Chapter 442, Food Handler Certification. I said, there might be some gray area within definitions, and
Right, we might
but I
just
said,
have
I
to-
agree with everybody, you know, we just don't want to make anything
Oh, sure.
burdensome. I'm not against getting the data and making sure everybody's operating cleanly and properly, but some of it sounds redundant, and some of it sounds like it might be very hard to implement for certain... And I said, I understand about temporary vendors and things like carnivals, that makes sense to me, but...
Well, right, and we get the next board
So there might be a way
meeting
to-
kind of, you know, pinpoint it down to what we want. I understand about, you know, the Lions Club, but it's really, you know, about the farmers market and the carnival and...
We really just need it to be liberal enough so that, I'll give you an example. Coming up is the car show in July,
Mhm.
and the fire department is going to cook hot dogs and hamburgers in the park. So they'll be, handling, cooking food there. Would they need a permit? Would they need to apply
Well,
for
I
a
will bring it
permit?
up to the health inspector.
We just don't want to discourage things like that.
No, and we won't discourage it. But I'll bring it up to the inspector because she's the one that goes from town to town and she can give us some advice as to what other towns do.
Ellen?
I just wonder if our borough attorney could also take a look at that ordinance in conjunction with what Patty Courts has sent to us to see how we can move
I
it
just kind of
forward.
need some more direction as to what they're looking to do.
We just want a permit. We just want all the
Permit
information.
for, again, I'm not, mobile vendors,
Like this kind?
because I'm also not that clear, and I don't want to,
Sure, no, I know it can be quite confusing.
because I agree, when I read it, the mobile vendors require a food handler certification, they require certification, so the mobile vendors would fall under the carnival, people would be
Right,
technically
that's the
mobile.
mobile
Those are events I can understand, but like something like a daycare who's ordering pizza from an established place, I find that might be a little harder for,
Well, no,
somebody to
all
have
we need
to...
to do, if they make a contract with La Toscana, okay, they just need to get La Toscana's permit, copy of it. Because I don't want my child to go into a pizzeria and where somebody doesn't have an inspection,
The Board of Ed doesn't have a policy on their vendors?
Not that I know of. I'll have to talk to the Board of Ed, but I don't think so.
think you're putting
Everybody's
an
just
undue burden
assuming
on
everybody
people.
is up to date, we just want to have the paperwork to say that.
But doesn't the paperwork already exist somewhere in the borough, since La Toscana is a food service
Right.
in the borough of River Edge? Why would they need to then provide another copy?
Yeah, they already have a food handler's license.
Right, they do.
But if
But
they're
it's
not-
In this
just,
fictional example.
right, but it is just an allocated because they have a contract with the Roosevelt PTO of serving pizza every Friday. So that we know. I don't know where Roosevelt gets their pizza every Friday. We want to know, just in case, for instance, if there's a foodborne outbreak for pizza, well, where did you get it? The Board of Health has no idea.
But wouldn't they know, just because they have the contract with the pizzeria, you wouldn't need the health certificate? Because they do hire the pizzeria, they can trace
I
that.
have to go to a Board of Ed meeting. It's difficult because I work late on Wednesdays, and I'll have to get somebody...
No, I'm saying if it was, God forbid, some kind of health outbreak, like they could trace that without having this additional...
Well, right. I mean, they can, but it would be easier to get all
Laborious.
the information.
Pat, do you know what the policy or the procedure is of the Board of Health if, suppose I get food poisoning, and I go to the hospital, and I come home, and I'm all upset, and I call up the Board of Health, and I say, I just went to so-and-so restaurant in town, and 4 hours later, I got food poisoning.
Oh, we'd be there.
At that, when the Board of Health gets that call, could you explain to the council and to the public what's the procedure when that happens?
Okay, so then our health inspector, Joanna Adamiak, will go to the restaurant and
She'll go there.
she'll do a spot check
Uh-huh.
on them to make sure everything is fine. We would have complaints on certain restaurants that she will make an immediate spot check. She goes around with her scheduled, checking, but if there is a complaint, she will go. If people see rats in their yard, Sam, our health officer, goes there. And if there's complaints, they are investigated.
How long have you been on the Board of Health now?
It's my second term.
Okay. Are you aware of any instances where, like, there's been more than one case of, like, food poisoning from
No, we've been
an
very
establishment?
very lucky, and hopefully we'll never. But it's just a matter of getting everything together just in case. It's just a matter of being prepared.
Okay.
But anything that is, that has to be, the state has to be notified, of course we'll be notified, because there are, Bergen County has laws that if there's any outbreaks or anything, E. coli or anything like that, it is a communicable disease, or there's an outbreak, we'll be notified, and we want to then notify our residents.
She covers a lot of towns, right?
But she covers a lot of towns.
She's really busy.
She's busy.
Yeah.
But she's very good.
One last thing. Would it be helpful, Tom, if Patty laid out a step-by-step process of what she
What they're looking to
would
do.
like to see,
Sure.
and share that with you, so then you can look at the ordinance. Would that be what you're looking
Yeah,
for?
yeah.
So if you could do that prior to the next
Absolutely.
Board of Health meeting and get that to Tom.
Okay.
I think that would
Yeah.
be a
But
good
that
next step.
paperwork looks sufficient?
Yeah, no, that's sufficient. Yeah, perfect. Yes, well, if you would, can I go over with the people at the next Board of Health, and we can do a point by point of what we need?
Yeah.
'Cause I know there's some cracks, so.
Okay, and we'll take a look at the ordinance and see
Yes, I'm gonna take a look at it. For some reason, I
Yeah.
did not find it.
where it needs
If
to
you
be.
go on the website, it'll be
tuned
like
up.
the
I did,
E-codes.
yeah.
It's like on the side, you gotta click a few times.
Okay.
It's not user-friendly.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Yep.
Thank you, Patty.
Next, we have our work session consent agenda. Does anyone want to discuss any of the 3 items, or the alternative move that they be adopted?
I have one question there on the second item with Mr. Costa. We're approving another 10,000 on top of the 9,500 tonight, correct?
Yes. this
And what's
is
the
an amendment.
construction?
Yes.
This is for the ADA, the 90,000
Yes.
plus?
Yeah, this will come out of the operating account because we didn't anticipate it out of the capital side.
I said this was a $90,000.
Plus, we have a few other pieces to it. We have some sidewalk work. We have the work at the Memorial Park Pavilion. Those are the other pieces that we'll do with this.
And then with the section 2, is that 20,000 in total, or is it 20,000 in addition to the original 20 that was in the...
Let's see, resolution.
Not clear.
77. Usually list any prior.
Because we awarded him 8,000 already.
Yes.
And that was-
Make it 28 total.
Anything else?
So this is, I'm sorry, so this is phase 2 that was going out to bid, right? Is that what we're... So presumably that's for inspection then?
Yes.
Okay. I think in the future, we should get the bids in and then ask them to bid on, or base their CI on the actual contract amount rather than giving us a percentage on what they think the estimate should be. Because if the project came in at 130, it should be probably more than 13,000 as opposed to charging us $20,000 for, $150,000 project for inspection. That's something we can maybe do going forward.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to move the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unfinished business. Any items of unfinished business? That one?
Can I ask, has the technology committee met with the
Not yet,
heads?
we're waiting for Vito. He hasn't been
Okay.
available.
Okay. So when he's back, you'll schedule, that meeting will get scheduled to move forward with the policy?
Yes.
Great, excellent. Thank you.
I'm going to bring up the Borough of River Edge Senior and Community Center. I still have not received from you, Mayor, or anyone else on the committee, a copy of the survey.
And not the survey, you wanted the programming. Is that what you wanted?
Both.
Oh,
No, not the survey itself, but the results of the survey.
The results of the survey, I passed them out a long time ago, the pie chart.
I didn't get it. Maybe I was absent, but I don't have it.
no, he did distribute those, but we
Okay.
didn't have the program.
That too.
That was,
If I could have both those, that would be great.
What was the second one, the programming needs?
Yeah.
Is that separate from the survey results?
it was based on the
Right.
architect's...
But there were two pieces,
interpretation.
there's two.
Yes.
I don't think I saw program results. I definitely saw the survey results, the pie chart.
It was handed out by Mr. Kenzani. I think we each have me, Ed, and Vito have a copy, but somebody, I'll take the blame for not giving a copy to Alan for distribution, so he could prepare RFP. I'm just going to make a note to myself.
The last time we were here, Thomas Papaleo asked about the Shade Tree Commission. I gave you the phone number. Did you have a chance to call
I
it?
did.
So they did change it, and
Ever so slightly, almost imperceivably.
so what is your point?
So, it's something I'm thinking about. I don't believe that the Shade Tree has made a genuine effort to I think I'll reserve discussion about it at this time.
You can contact Liz yourself, and then he could probably
Well, one of
tell
the things
her-
I brought up to the council previously is whether we should consider dissolving the Shade Tree as a commission. This is something I'm still thinking about, and something that if they don't wish to be... I think Liz and them are really great people, but I think that there's a very clear message. We'll get to you when we're good and ready from that board's
They do
member.
all have jobs.
So does the fire department, so do our volunteer police department, auxiliary police, so do we. I think that's a weak argument at best.
There's hardly ever a time that it's going to be a priority emergency regarding a tree.
I'm
The
not
house
saying
is
that.
on fire.
I think you're
That
changing
is-
the argument
has-
from what I brought up. But as I said before, I think I'm going to reserve discussion about it, and I think you have a good point that I should speak to Liz directly.
I don't understand what more you would like out of that message.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't.
I'm just curious, what is missing from it that is not satisfactory?
Mayor, I think we should move on. I don't wish to be interrogated by Councilwoman Murphy about a topic that I've said I'll discuss with the Shade Tree Commission.
It's just been on the agenda for weeks now.
It's going to stay on the agenda until somebody moves to remove it from the agenda, and then it's voted on by the majority. Everything on the unfinished business list gets there by a vote of the majority vote, and everything gets removed by a majority vote. So if there's any item on here that is ready to be removed, then make a motion and it'll be voted on. But nobody's made a motion about Shade Tree yet, and we heard a report on social media.
I'm just wondering if
policy.
anyone else has an issue with it, if they've taken the time
Waiting
to
for-
listen to the
waiting
message. Ed,
for
have you
Vito.
listened to it?
I haven't heard that.
Kathleen, please don't interrupt. We have a report on I'm going to follow up on the community center. I'd like to address Grove Street for just a second, just to fill everybody in, that there was a dumping incident there last week. Kathleen and I responded. Someone had left a couch right in the end of Grove Street, and some boxes of just junk. We were able to locate the owner of the boxes of junk and have them removed. I contacted our code enforcement officer, Mr. DeRosa, to follow up on the property owner who has some debris on his property, and we had the couch searched by the police department to see if there was any incriminating evidence in it, and then we had it removed by the DPW. So, and then while I was there, I saw that the access easement that the borough owns to Lincoln Avenue was obstructed by construction materials, and a private contractor had removed the boulders and was using it to set construction equipment on, who was building a house next door. So I spoke to him and got him to put the boulders back and remove his equipment, and but that area it's eroding and there's a problem with runoff and silt that is going to have to be addressed in some fashion.
Runoff from where, Mayor?
The road is,
From the easement part you're talking about?
yeah, the easement part was torn up by this contractor, and it's dirt, and when it rains, there's the dirt goes into a catch basin. The catch basin must be clogged, so it overflows into over the curb into the
But
into
do we
the yards.
do we think that the erosion was caused by him and his equipment, or?
I don't. You're the engineer.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I'm asking, because if he caused it, we can certainly have him restore it.
I don't know. It looks like it hasn't been maintained. It needs some maintenance. Maybe the catch basin is not one that gets cleaned out annually.
Well, John just did 568 basins so far this year, so it should have been, but I'll find out
Yeah,
specifically if there's a problem.
I don't know if that was on the list, since it's on property that, we don't even use.
Oh, it's on, the basin's actually on the easement?
Yeah, right.
Oh, it's not on the street, you're saying?
It's right
Oh.
in the middle of the easement.
Okay.
And, the surrounding area is all dirt. There's no gravel
Yes.
or anything, so it just washes into that. Complete streets, the only report is that we have a traffic and safety meeting coming up Wednesday, which I plan to attend, and in the meantime, I've asked Alan to make copies of I don't know, what do you call it, a brochure, or a catalog, or a brochure that we received from the Mel on street and pedestrian safety, and it mentions that one of the primary objectives of the MEL is for municipalities to create traffic and safety committees. So I feel good that we're ahead of the curve on that one. That's all I have to report on unfinished business. Anybody else? Kathleen?
I can give a report on the library roof. Right now, the work is ahead of schedule. The clear story windows are in. The new ductwork is being fabricated. The asbestos was removed. 95% of the old roof was removed. 75% of the new roof has been installed. New roof drains installed, and 95% of roof installation installed. The schedule work is sheet metal, barrel vaulted entry, ductwork, drywall and trim, roof coatings, and exterior cladding on clear story element. So I've been over there, and the progress has been excellent. Everyone's satisfied with the workers and how they're keeping everything, and the library's been able to remain open for the most part, with certain areas closed off. So.
Good. All right, any other old business? New business? Any new business? No new business. I'd like a motion to open a hearing to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are open to the public on the work session consent agenda. We are also going to open to the public when we go into our 8 o'clock meeting, but if there's a member of the public who wishes to be heard now, would be a good time. Can you? Yes, ma'am. Just give us your name again, even though I know it.
You know me. I wanted to say good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
I wanted to talk about SCORE. Many of the 40 River Edge residents who are members of SCORE are elderly and frail with various physical problems, and for this reason, they are unable to volunteer where help is needed. Other residents refuse to volunteer, and several members who helped in the past stopped and resorted to bullying tactics. Many of the 23 Bergen County long-term members volunteer much more than the small number of River Edge residents, and therefore their efforts should be recognized in terms of the right to vote. Without their help, there would be a major problem. On March 16, 2015, ordinance number 1824 was adopted, and after being without bylaws for over 42 years, On April 13, 2015, the SCORE bylaws were voted on by the majority of the members present at a SCORE special meeting. It was a momentous occasion. According to Article Number 8, Section A of the bylaws, any proposed amendments to the bylaws would require a two-thirds vote of the membership. In the ordinance and in the bylaws, Article Number 3, Section A, it states that membership eligibility shall consist of residents of Bergen County who are a minimum of 60 years of age. And in Article Number 5, Section A, it states that every member of SCORE in good standing with dues paid to date shall be eligible to vote. I have a copy of the bylaws dated March 2015 that were recently voted upon, and a copy of the ordinance number 1824 adopted on March 16, 2015. I do not understand how there could be a new ordinance number 1834 when bylaws are in effect and we were told we would be able to vote for offices of SCORE as planned right after we voted for the bylaws. We're ready to elect officers now.
I'll let my attorney answer that question.
Mayor, once the ordinance was adopted, it required SCORE to adopt their bylaws. The ordinance specifically states that the bylaws cannot be inconsistent with the bylaws cannot be inconsistent with the ordinance. The ordinance is the law. So whatever the bylaws say needs to be consistent with the ordinance. The bylaws was consistent with the ordinance by saying Bergen County. Once the mayor and council chose, or if the mayor and council chooses to adopt the amended ordinance, now revising the ordinance, and they clearly have every right to do that, changing it to having members being restricted to River Edge residents, but opening it up and having Bergen County residents participate in it. Once that is done, any inconsistent or any provision that's in the bylaws that is inconsistent with the ordinance will automatically be null and void. So once this ordinance, if you choose to vote in favor of it, the bylaws should automatically be amended to reflect the change in the ordinance. If it's not, that article in the bylaws will just be basically null and void.
Okay, that's the answer.
There's no reason why, up until a short time ago, that these 23 Bergen County long-term member volunteers were excluded. All of a sudden, it just happened. They were never excluded before this particular moment. This has been going on for months, and they were always accepted into the not only the ordinance but in the bylaws.
Again, the residents of Bergen County are not going to be excluded. They're going to still be able to participate in every activity as the River Edge residents. I think there's just a general consensus. What I was told was just so it is a River Edge entity, and they should have some more control over how it is basically run. But again, it is open to every resident of Bergen County to enjoy the activities that they provide.
But it was stated that it would be only the officers would have to be, originally I'm talking about, it's only the officers that would have to live in River Edge in order to be voted into that position. But it never stated anything other than that.
I don't disagree with you, but now there's a proposed change to the ordinance. I just write the ordinance, I don't get into why it was, there's a proposed change to it, there's a proposed change to it. Once that ordinance is changed, then obviously it'll go into effect.
So is that ordinance
Being voted on tonight, am I right?
It's on the agenda tonight for a public hearing and a final vote.
Oh, it would be tonight.
It's tonight.
And there's no reason you could say why that was all of a sudden changed.
All I could say is that we adopted the first ordinance, 1824, and SCORE went on its way to the creation and the adoption of the bylaws, and then you have two liaisons assigned to your organization, Councilman Coppola and Councilman Bastide, and then they recommended this amendment, and it was discussed, it was put on for a first reading, it was voted on, it was passed by the majority, it was published in the newspaper, it's on tonight for a public hearing, and another vote for final adoption to see if the change is going to occur.
Well, our
That was the process.
Well, our liaison said something completely different. They said, all you have to do is pass the bylaws, and we hurried up and passed the bylaws for us to get on with the elections. This is a step backwards now for another...
We should probably save this for the public hearing.
session.
For the public hearing.
When is that?
It's in a few minutes.
Oh, I thought
No.
this was a hearing.
No. We're going to have a public hearing on the ordinance. We're going to open to the public, and we're going to let anybody talk about this particular ordinance. If you just let me start the public meeting.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Can I have anybody else who would like to speak during the work session? Is it on the score ordinance?
Yes.
Well, then we're just going to wait until we have the public hearing on that ordinance. Can I please have a motion to close this portion of the meeting?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the work session and go into the 8 o'clock meeting?
Second.
So, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Now, we could begin our 8 o'clock meeting. Oh, wait a minute, 7:50.
We had it scheduled for one.
Let me get a drink. Quick break for lunch.
Or John.
Can we ask about the street caving in? Do you have an update on that? Should I ask in the other session? The street that had the emergency?
This is the 8 o'clock regular meeting of the River Edge Mayor and Council for Monday, May 4th, 2015. The time is now 8 p.m. I'd like to begin the meeting by please rising for a moment of silent prayer or reflection.
2 hours.
If we could have our borough attorney lead us in a salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting your interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this act, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge have provided notice of this meeting by having the date, time, and place published in the record in the Ridgewood News, by placing a notice in the lobby of the Borough Hall, and by advising the municipal clerk. The mission of our governing body is to provide essential services for the establishment and implementation of public policy to safeguard our infrastructure, providing honest, courteous, and professional services, establishing a sense of trust and accomplishment with our town residents. We do this through research and prudent planning, seeking always to minimize public liabilities and risks while improving the delivery of municipal services. We are sensitive always to the needs of the taxpayers while realizing that the governing body cannot be all things to all people due to revenue constraints that have been imposed by state mandates, present economic conditions, and prevailing attitudes about taxation. We are being recorded both by audio and video for purposes of creating a public record. If during any portion of the meeting the public wishes to be heard, they need only raise their hand, identify themselves, and they will be given an opportunity to address the mayor and council or to address the public in general. Please be reminded that there are 3 exits in council chambers, 1 to each side of the dais and 1 to the rear. Can I have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Here.
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 Please let the record reflect that Mayor Sandy Mastrocarlo and Borough Attorney Thomas Barlow are also present.
Thank you. Can I please have a motion to approve the minutes of the mayor and council work session meeting for April the 6th, 2015?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and there's a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstained? Any opposed? Next, can I please have a motion to approve the minutes of the mayor and council regular meeting of April the 20th, 2015?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Tonight we have several proclamations that are on the agenda. First, we have a proclamation for Municipal Clerks Week that I am going to read and then present to our clerk, Stephanie Evans. I'll read it here at the dais. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government that exists throughout the nation, whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing body, and agencies of government at other levels, whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, regardless of any partisan interest, whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of municipal clerk through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, annual meetings of their state, country, and international professional organizations, whereas it is appropriate that we recognize the accomplishment of the office of municipal clerk. Now, therefore, we do recognize that the week of May the 3rd to May 9th as Municipal Clerks Week, and we further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Stephanie Evans, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services that they perform and the exemplary dedication they provide to our communities and the individuals that they represent. Congratulations, Stephanie.
Stephanie, can we get a picture?
Sure.
No, I was just saying, you know you've made it when the iPhone comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Use like the iPad. Put it on next
I gotta get an upgrade.
We were going to give it to Tom. He's a teacher. Sure. That's fine.
I think that...
Next, we have PTA Teacher Appreciation Week, and we'd like to present this to Ellen Bastide, who is active in the PTO here in town, and to Councilman Papaleo, who is a teacher. So, here's the proclamation. Whereas since 1984, the National PTA has designated the first week in May as a special time to honor men and women who lend their passionate skills to educating our children. Teachers are what make our public and private schools so great. Whereas teachers work to open students' minds to ideas, knowledge, and dreams. Whereas teachers keep American democracy alive by laying the foundations of good citizenship. Whereas teachers fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, mentors, and continue to influence us long after school days, our distant memories. Whereas all residents are encouraged to take this opportunity to celebrate public and private education, to honor individuals who are making a difference in ensuring that every child receives a quality education. And this couldn't be done without the public-private partnership between PTAs and between their teachers. Now, therefore, be resolved that as mayor of the Borough of River Edge, and in recognition, we hereby proclaim May 5th to May 8th as PTA Teacher Appreciation Week. We urge that we observe this week by taking the time to recognize and acknowledge the impact of teachers on all of our lives. Congratulations. Chief Caridi up here. Chief, May 10th and May 16th is National Police Week. I'd like to present you with this proclamation. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Whereas established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special attention to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. Whereas recent events throughout our nation have unfortunately demonstrated a reckless disregard for the lives and safety of law enforcement officers. For instance, on December 20th, 2014, New York Police Department officers Lou and Officer Ramos were executed at point-blank range while sitting in their patrol vehicle in Brooklyn. Whereas it is incumbent upon police officials and law-abiding public to proactively support law enforcement officers who regularly face threats of violence and danger and who routinely put their lives in jeopardy to defend others, potentially resulting in injury, disability, or even death. To keep our neighborhoods safe, to enforce the rule of law, to respect private property, and to respond in times of crisis. Now therefore be it resolved, as the Mayor of Borough of River Edge, and in recognition, we proclaim May the 10th to 16th as National Police Week. Thank you. We usually have someone here from our DPW for our National Public Works Week. Since we have a busy agenda, I'm just going to let the record reflect that we'll give this to John Lynch. Next, I have members of the River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service, and I have to invite them all up. We have Captain Donna Sanders, we have Mr. Sanders, we have Steve Serino, we have Justin Kearns, and we have Jim Levis. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, whereas members of the emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those who need it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and the recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. Whereas emergency medical service system consists of emergency physicians, EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others. Whereas members of emergency medical service teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishment of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it resolved, as the Mayor of Borough of River Edge, we proclaim May 19th to 25th as Emergency Services Week here in River Edge, in recognition of all of the members of REBOS who have engaged in volunteer emergency medical services activities. And we encourage the community to observe this week and to appreciate the hard work of our emergency volunteer service members. And I just have to say that I'm so proud to be the liaison to REBOS and to read the monthly reports that I get from Donna and to support the organization and to work with you to get you a new rig. And I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for the River Edge Volunteer Organization. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Next, if I could call up Dr. Elizabeth Odins from our Board of Health, because May 2015 is National Mental Health Month. So, Elizabeth, as a member of the Board of Health and as a mental health practitioner, I'd like to give you this proclamation. Whereas mental health is essential for everyone's overall health and well-being, whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, whereas the promotion and prevention are effective ways to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, whereas there is a strong body of research that supports user-friendly tools that all Americans can access to better handle emotional challenges to protect their health and well-being, whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, whereas with effective treatment, these individuals with mental health conditions can recover to lead full and productive lives, whereas each business, school, government agency, faith-based organization, healthcare provider, and citizen has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Therefore, we proclaim May 2015 as Mental Health Month here in the borough of River Edge. As the mayor of River Edge, I also call upon citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect the mental health and the needs for appropriate and accessible service for all people with these conditions. Thank you.
Oh, you
And if I could please invite up Dave Sloves. Dave Sloves, who is on the board of Temple Habitat Shalom, and you are Brett. Nice to meet you. Okay. May is also Jewish American Heritage Month, and I'd like to give this proclamation to the members of our Jewish community at Temple Habitat Shalom. On May 20, 2006, President George W. Bush proclaimed that May would be Jewish American Heritage Month, which was a result of an organized effort to recognize more than 350-year history of Jewish contributions to American culture. Whereas Jewish Americans continue to guide our country's progress as scientists and teachers, public servants and private citizens, wise leaders and loving parents. We see their accomplishment in every neighborhood. We see them abroad in our unbreakable bond with Israel that Jewish Americans helped forge. More than 350 years have passed since Jewish refugees first made landfall on American shores. We take this month to celebrate all of the progress that followed and the bright future that leads ahead. Whereas all residents and community leaders are asked to join them to pay tribute to the generations of Jewish Americans who have helped form the fabric of American history, society, and culture. You can learn more by visiting www.jewishheritagemonth.gov. To learn more about the heritage and contributions of Jewish Americans and to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies. Now therefore be resolved that in recognition we proclaim May 2015 as Jewish American Heritage Month. Thank you for the session. Thank you very much. All right. Can I please have a motion to open the meeting to the public on any agenda item?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, would any member of the public like to speak on any particular item on the agenda? You have your hand up, ma'am, to speak about the score ordinance. I'll get to you in a moment. Can I have a motion to close this portion of the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have some appointments and personnel changes. First is to approve the separation of Jeremy Kieferly, Patrol Officer, effective April 22nd, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Next is to approve a salary increase for Edward Blue, Patrol Officer, due to his second-year probation from $29,183 to $37,142, effective May 5th, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Next is to approve the appointment of Corey Allen Benson, 109 Midland Avenue, to the River Edge Volunteer Fire Department, Company 1.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is Mr. Benson here? All right. Next is to approve a salary increase of Maureen Cronin, Library Assistant, from $35,314 to $35,794 due to an increase in longevity effective May 4, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? If a member wishes to look at the agenda, they will see correspondence consisting of notices and letters and monthly reports, which include the report from the Shade Tree Commission and Board of Health, the Historic Commission, and the Recreation Commission. Oh, okay. They are all available for review at the clerk's office. Can I also have a motion to approve a salary increase of, I did Maureen Cronin. Okay. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the retirement of Kenneth Fannin, Fire Inspector, as of May 1, 2015?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This evening, we have liaison reports, beginning with Councilwoman Murphy, who is liaison to the Shade Tree Commission, the Library, Environmental Protection Commission, Green Team, Technology Committee, New Milford, Oradell, Shared Services. Councilwoman Murphy, would you like to report on any of your...
Yes, I have a few reports, and I will be brief. I would like to thank our Green Team, the Chairperson Bonnie Stewart, Shelley Dansky, Greg Ogden, Wendy Rosenoff, Val Duran, Patty Alberg, Claudia O'Neill, Marie Papaleo, and Henry Semler for the Second Chance toy event that we held 2 weeks ago at Cherry Hill. There was also a shredder there for people to come and shred their documents. There were over 1,000 toys collected at that event, and I have a picture here of one of the recipients of the toys. He's a single dad with 4 kids, and I'll pass that around so you can see that the toys actually made it to a needy family. So good, congratulations to them. It was a lot of work. I think, Thomas, you went there and helped with loading some toys that the truck didn't come, and something happened with that. So.
It did, but it was much too small. The generosity
She didn't have the
of
box
the people
truck
of River Edge was overwhelming, and the truck that they had provided to collect the toys and carry them to the distribution center simply wasn't enough. And they tried to go back and get a straight job, which is a box truck, because they had a very large van, but it wasn't enough. So
That's amazing that they collected 1,000 toys, so, you know, kudos to everybody for doing that, and it saved a lot of stuff from going to landfill, and it was put to a good purpose, so, good job. The library is running a trip this Thursday to the Cloisters, so if anyone is interested in going on a little trip, it's Thursday at 10:45, and you'll come back at 5, and it's $30 a person, so I will leave that here for anyone interested. Beautification Committee is doing a fundraiser from May 2nd until June 7th. So I also have these flyers up here. If you are planning on doing any gardening and you go to Joy's Garden Center in Paramus, if you hand them this flyer, 15% of your purchase will go to our Beautification Committee. So if we're going out to buy something anyway, consider going to Joy's and handing over this flyer. And they made some good money on that. And that is all for tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Capola, liaison to the Rec Commission, to the Senior Citizen co-liaison, and to the Beautification Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, the Recreation Commission had its annual 5K run that was a couple weeks back, and it was a smashing success. It was great, well attended. Also, our senior citizens, as we discussed before, we're finishing up the bylaws, and our Beautification Committee is continuing with our spring cleaning and planting of flowers and de-weeding, and they had their sale for Mother's Day coming up this week. And that's it. Oh, it's coming this...
No, it already passed.
Yeah, already passed, right, this past week, thank you. And she stole my thunder, but thank you, Councilwoman Murphy.
Sorry.
No, you helped me out, thank you. So, that's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bastide, SCORE co-liaison, Historic Commission, Traffic and Safety Committee, Board of Health.
Thank you. The Historic Commission, the Planning Board on May 21st will be having their hearing regarding the historic element of the master plan, so we're moving forward, and I believe that's going to come to a speedy conclusion. Traffic and Safety Committee, the lines on Continental were ground up and restriped, and I think it's all working much more efficiently now, so that was an item open with Traffic and Safety. Like the Mayor mentioned, we're meeting Wednesday night. Board of Health, I want to thank Patricia Quartz for coming and sharing with us some concerns the Board of Health have regarding food handlers permits. And I'd also like to recognize the efforts of the Board of Health and our professionals to bring the issue of mental health awareness to the public and continue to work on making those programs available to our residents and eliminating the stigma of mental health issues. Lastly, I just would like to make a comment on the proposed amendment to SCORE tonight. I want to say that I respect Ms. Berman's passion and her enthusiasm for all of her years being involved with SCORE. I would also like to say that as liaison, I have spoken with many other members of SCORE who are River Edge residents who have impressed upon me the need to have this amendment so that our River Edge residents are the primary members without excluding any other Bergen County resident from participating, volunteering, starting a committee, or the like. So I will be supporting that amendment. Thank you.
Councilman Mignon, liaison to the DPW Zoning Subcommittee, Redevelopment, New Milford and Oradell Shared Services Technology.
Thank you, Mayor. There was no meeting of the zoning board in April due to lack of agenda. They meet again next Wednesday. I haven't been notified of an agenda for that meeting yet either. DPW, John and his men, they've been doing normal springtime cleanups, tree trimming, telling me all the grass patching has been done. I know they were working on repainting the stripes down by the swim club. He tells me that's completed or nearly completed. And I mentioned earlier that he said they've already cleaned out 560 catch basins, which as a liaison impresses me, but as a fellow certified public works manager, I have to tell you it's something that we don't really recognize the amount of dedication, the amount of service, the level of service, the quality of service we get from John and the men of the DPW. We do have one of the best departments that I've seen in Bergen County, and I'm not exaggerating. I've dealt with a lot of different departments around the county, and a lot of stuff they do, we don't see every day, but believe me that they're really doing a top-notch job, and so congratulations them also on National Public Works Week, and for always doing a good job for River Edge. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And my report for the River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service. Oh, did I forget Tom? Tom, Police Department, Fire Department, River Edge Alliance Against Alcohol and Drugs. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. The Police Department, the Chief has reported to me that the stanchions that the Council has requested have been ordered. As soon as the budget was approved, we put them in the order, and they should be placed as soon as they arrive. They're not yet here. The police, I continue to work with the PBA and with the chief and the borough in negotiations for the new contract. We met last Tuesday and we continue to meet, and there are productive meetings. The fire department continues to do to go to all the many calls they are, but of note is right now the truck committee is on site. I believe it's in Wisconsin. Yeah, Wisconsin right now. And hopefully the truck will, they're just finalizing the specs, and then it will go into production phase, And I think November, Kathleen, isn't that what Tom says?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, November, we should receive our new truck. The Alliance Against Drug and Alcohol Abuse continues to do good work in cooperation with the police department and the public schools, and that's all I have to report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. The report on the River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service for April 2015. To date, REVOS has responded to 175 calls. They participated in the Cherry Hill Health Fair on April the 17th, and they will be participating, or they have participated in the Health Fair at Roosevelt on April 23rd. The ambulance corps set up a first aid station with cots at the River Edge Run. Members of the ambulance squad were able to take care of some of the runners there to provide first aid. The River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service was also able to trade in their old defibrillators for newer advanced models that have been put into service. The River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service is always looking for new volunteers. If you or anyone you know would like further information, you need only contact Chief Donna Sanders or leave them a message on their Facebook page. Thank you. Next, we have ordinances that are on tonight for first reading and for public hearing, beginning with ordinance number 1834, which is an ordinance to amend ordinance 1824, Chapter 1 of the revised, for the creation and for the establishment of a senior citizens of River Edge organization. I thought that's on for a first reading?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay. It's on for a first reading. I thought it was on for, I was wrong. I thought it was on for second reading. All right, would anybody like to make a motion to adopt this on first reading?
So moved.
All right, there's a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Cole?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Young?
Yes.
Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
All right. The motion was adopted on first reading, which means that it'll be advertised in the newspaper. It'll be put on our agenda one more time for a public hearing at which any member of the public can be heard. Of course, we're going to open up again tonight to the public, so if you wish to speak about this ordinance, you'll be given an opportunity to do so. An ordinance on for second reading, which is ordinance 1829, a bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements in and around the borough of River Edge, County Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $840,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Can I please have a motion to open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 1829?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone would like to make a comment on this ordinance and this ordinance only? 1829 for certain public improvements in the amount of $840,000. Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 1829?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion for the final adoption of ordinance number 1829?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Cole?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Young?
Yes.
Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
All right, ordinance number 1830 is a bond ordinance to authorize the making of public improvements, the acquisition of replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology, new communications, signal system equipment, additional furnishings, automotive vehicles, original apparatus and equipment in, by, and for the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, the sum of $543,000 to pay the cost, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance the appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in the anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Can I please have a motion to hold a public hearing on ordinance number 1830?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we are now having a public hearing on ordinance number 1830. Would any member of the public wish to be heard on this particular bond ordinance? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 1830?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion for the final adoption?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for the final adoption. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Yocum? Councilman Patullo?
Yes.
Vice Councilwoman Castillo?
Yes.
Councilman Leon?
Yes.
Councilman Caballero?
Yes. Thank you. That ordinance is also adopted. We have ordinance number 1831, which is a bond ordinance to authorize Kinderkamak Road Regional Revitalization Project Phase 3 in, by, and for the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $1,090,000 to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in the anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Can I please have a motion to hold a public hearing on ordinance number
So moved.
1831?
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, would any member of the public like to speak on bond ordinance 1831 for revitalization of Kinderkamak Road? Yes, sir. Can we please have your name?
Sure. Joseph Dunstay, 151 Concord Drive. I need to be caught up a bit on the project. Does the plan for the revitalization involve any changes to the road?
Changes to the road. What do you mean by that, changes to the road?
Well, if you are planning to redo the road, I would suggest adding bike lanes.
Right. This does not, that would be a good idea, except Kinderkamak Road is a county road.
Right.
So we couldn't add bike lanes unless the county authorized it. This particular project is supported by an $800,000 grant that we received from the DOT. The scope of the project is, there's a section of northern Kinderkamak Road that has what I call in shorthand the borough streetscape. It is those decorative poles with lighting and pavers.
Okay.
That is this project. It's another phase of that project for what we call streetscape, from
Right.
where we left off, which is around Delfoot Florist, all the way to the Oradell border. So that entire commercial area will have the borough streetscape with the decorative lighting and the paving stones. That's what this particular bond is for. It doesn't go into the roadway itself.
Okay, well, in that case, I'll talk to the county about getting bike lanes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to speak on ordinance number 1831? Can I please have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion for final adoption of ordinance number 1831?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, again, the mayor said this is an $800,000 grant, but we're bonding $1,990,000. Everybody loves getting grants, but like I said, the devil's in the details. We're spending $1,090,000 plus the $80,000 we had to pay a grant consultant for $800,000 in grant money. So it's about a 40 or 50% additional cost over the amount of money we're getting from the government, which means that's going to be passed on to the taxpayers. We've already bonded, as you saw, the last two bond ordinances, about $1.3 million, and that covered our capital spending for this current year. So in addition to that, we're adding another $370,000 on this project and another $160,000 on the next project we're going to be voting on. I've said it before, we cannot sustain adding this amount of debt every year and keep taxes stable. Right now our debt service is over $1.4 million a year. It's not sustainable. Getting back to the project at hand, the mayor's correct. There's supposed to be new curb sidewalks, decorative lights. Well, $300,000 of the $800,000 are going for decorative lights. If you've seen the ones on Kindercamack Road the way they are now, they're about 14 feet high, and probably Mr. Grasso can attest to, they actually are level with the apartments above his storefronts. They're not doing any street lighting either. So $300,000 for decorative street lights, which will add another $26,000 plus or minus to our operating costs every year in terms of electricity bills for a pedestrian area which really is a pedestrian area. $25,000 for trees, $15,000 for benches. Yes, they're all nice things, but not at the expense of going 40% over what our bond amount is. So I will not be supporting this bond ordinance, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? I would just like to say that this bond ordinance, this project has been on our books for, I don't know, at least 10 years prior to my administration. I think it probably began with Mayor Watkins' administration. We have to carry the ball forward and complete the project. This is another phase of it. Our street beautification is nice where it is, but it's spotty. This will complete it up to the Oradell border. It will support the commercial revitalization of that part of Kindercamack Road. The majority of it is being paid, as Councilman Mignon correctly stated, $800,000 worth in other people's money, not taxpayer money from the borough of River Edge, money that we paid to the state and the county and the federal government. Now we're trying to get a little bit of that back. As long as I'm sitting in this chair, I will promote applying for grants to get some of our taxpayer money back to us to do these public improvements. Any further discussion? Can we have a roll call?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Paulo?
No.
Councilman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
No, and it is all our money, no matter how you look at it.
And Councilman Flores?
Yes. And I vote yes.
You don't vote.
2-2, right?
No.
Oh, it was 3-2? Oh, I thought it was 2-2.
You put the nail in the coffin. Yeah.
Symbolic
Put the
vote.
nail in the coffin.
I don't know if that ordinance passes, Mayor.
All right.
Wait, serious?
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Why?
I think you might need 4 votes.
Thomas,
No, you
Steve,
have 5 here. Majority.
2, 3.
See, 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I could ask for clarification, but I think you need 4 votes for the membership of the governing body.
For a bond ordinance?
Yes,
We'll find out.
but let's find out.
Yeah.
Tom, what do you think?
I thought it was 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I mean, majority, but I'll look it up. It's
Alan,
a
why
bond
would you think
ordinance.
that at this point that would not be sufficient? Isn't
Most-
the majority normally sufficient?
most finance ordinances require 4 out of the 6.
Is that a supermajority?
Would be.
All of them, supermajority. It's 2/3.
All right, it'll be researched by the borough attorney. We'll get a legal opinion on it. Next is ordinance 1832. We did 1832, which is a bond ordinance to authorize undertaking of school safety improvement project in the vicinity of the Riverdale Middle School, Cherry Hill School, Roosevelt School, in, by, and for the borough of River Edge and the county of Bergen, to appropriate the sum of $450,000 to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Can I please have a motion to hold a public hearing on ordinance number 1832?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are open to the public on ordinance number 1832. This is a $450,000 Safe Streets to Schools project, of which we have received a grant of, I believe it was $315,000. We are bonding, we want to bond $450,000 to pay additional, what are called soft cost engineering, things like that. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance number 1832? Yes.
I'm going to speak only because
again, raising taxes. And you might have gotten my email about the picture of the ice at the middle school,
Yes.
which would have been a $5 bag of ice, and one of the janitors doing his job. Instead, it cost me $200 for a new cell phone screen for my son who fell on the sidewalk.
Uh-huh.
So I think we will get people involved in town just to know there isn't a lot we can do sitting on the safety committee, traffic and safety committee at the middle school. There's people who need to do their jobs and throw salt down so that the kids can shovel. This is one of the other things that we spoke about this year. That 2 feet where parents are fighting to get to that 2 feet. On more than like 4 occasions, parents have gotten out of the car and like screamed at each other because they couldn't get to their kids from the 2 feet of snow that was shoveled.
I realize that, but this ordinance is to provide for sidewalks and...
I understand that, but then in order to spend money, we're spending more taxpayer money to get the money to improve what's happening at the middle school, which I see on a daily basis living across the street. But if you don't, I think we're going to get people to the meeting just because of raising the taxes and spending money where people already aren't doing their job. That's what I just want to say.
All right, but your issue is with the Board of Education.
I was made aware of it, but there's also other issues that take place at the middle school where it is children's safety at hand, but then in order to raise our taxes, there's not a lot we can do as far as crosswalks if we're adding sidewalks and things like that. I don't understand you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't understand what you say. I didn't understand
I
what
said
you...
raising taxes is what I'm saying, and there are things that can be done for the safety of our children to get them to school. Like if we're going to have to spend more money to accept this grant money.
Yes, you always have to, in order to get money, in order to get this $300,000, it's not matching money. Some grants are matching. They'll give you 50% of the money and you have to put up the other 50%. This is not a non-matching grant. It's only for school improvements to Cherry Hill, to the middle school, and to Roosevelt. But it doesn't cover what are called soft costs, which are engineering, inspections, the cost of getting a grant consultant to make the application. Those are not covered. So this grant is to get the $315,000. We are spending $135,000.
Okay.
We are bonding that money. But thank you for your comments. Helen.
I just want to be clear that this is to add a sidewalk on Midland Avenue by the middle school, which does not exist at this time, correct?
Correct.
No.
And part of Woodland.
No, that's a separate DOT grant. I've asked for clarification, which I never got. We have a separate $149,000 DOT grant, which we re-scoped, because what you can do, and what I've always said with grants, is you work within the grant amount. So you don't come up with a $150,000 grant and then do a $1 million project. So we had $149,000 to do the work for Midland Avenue and for Woodland, a separate grant. This grant overlaps that. This also includes building sidewalks on the cliff over Kindercomack Road on the east side near the bus stop, which again, I don't think is a very wise use of taxpayer money either. And we're very quick now tonight. Mayor says it's only $135,000. $135,000 plus the $31,000 we already paid for the grant consultant, so it's $156,000 on this particular bond we're adding. Not including the $149,000 grant we got to cover partial for Midland and Woodland already, which we paid above and beyond for that for the soft costs also. We don't know how much money we're spending and we don't even know what we're getting. But we're here, I said, $500,000, $600,000. That's about 3 tax points, or about $120 to the average taxpayer in the town. And we don't even have a clear idea of what we're spending our money on, what we're going to get from it. And like I said, I think if we get grants, fine. We get grants to cover operational costs. We get them from the county that pays for our senior bus driver. I think that's a great use of grant money. When we get the DOT grants, we can do a couple more streets that we normally wouldn't be able to pave, and only pay for maybe part of the soft cost. But to add 50 decorative light posts, sidewalks on the cliffs, overlapping projects which we don't know whose jurisdiction is what and who's paying for what, I said, this is where I have a problem, and this is what we're voting on tonight. So, it may be only $135,000, $150,000, but, you know, it all adds up. And we were all sat here from the budget season and saw how hard it was to get to a legal budget under the levy cap, and then we're able actually to go further, to come under the caps, only now to add, on the back end, we're going to be adding some debt service, which is going to come to bite us in probably a year and a half or 2 years, and we're going to say, all of a sudden now, our debt service went up by another $200,000. And again, that would be another, you know, tax point and a half, so another, you know, $50, $60 automatic increase just to cover increases in bonding, and decreasing the amount of money we have in our operating budget for other things. So, you know, it's nice to have these improvements. I think some of the objectives in this particular one are worthwhile, but again, I don't think the plan was well thought through.
Kathleen?
At what point do we, like, finish projects? You know, like, there's resistance to finishing a decade-old project, you know, when we're getting grant money that covers, for the most part, but you're objecting to, you know, continuing the streetscape. You think that it's frivolous.
I do, because it's a $3 million project.
So at what point do we say we make an investment in our town where we have continuity? You know, it's just...
Putting sidewalks in front of the Verizon building is not a good idea. We're using taxpayers' money.
People need to
Okay.
walk around.
Well, but
we're trying to make the town more
Then put
walkable.
regular sidewalks back. We have areas where there's curb problems on Kennecott. Put regular curb. I'm not saying don't do improvements, but do improvements that are
You
going
know,
to
some of
be...
these are big safety issues that, you know, if you
$300,000
want
on decorative lights is not a safety issue.
That's just, you know, we have to invest in our town. We do.
That's not investing in our
No.
town. This is not... If this was priority, we would fund it through the capital budget. These were not priorities. You can always fund these projects through the capital budget and cut other, or make other projects less priority.
I understand
We spent
how it works.
$1.4 million.
I understand. I just
Well,
think
maybe we should
that,
spend a little more time looking at the budget next year, and you'll understand where the implication of the debt service and the bonding is, where it's leading us, and where we're going with it.
Yes.
It's a problem.
Yes, sir.
On the topic of finishing projects, today I read a report from 1975 that was done on the county level, which was Lake Hackensack. The idea was to create a dam...
Wait a minute, Mr. Dunsey. We are having a public hearing on a bond ordinance regarding
Yes, I'm
school
responding to...
school safety improvements, so please keep your remarks germane to school safety improvements
Yes, I'm responding-
around the middle school, Cherry Hill, and Roosevelt.
I'm responding to Councilor Murphy's concept that we have to finish every project that's designed. So...
I didn't say finish every project.
She was referring
We don't
to...
really have time for a back and forth. In 1975, there was a project designed on the county level to create Lake Hackensack by making a dam on the Hackensack River in the southern part of Hackensack and flooding large sections of Hackensack, Teaneck, New Milford, and River Edge. So if we were going to finish every project we design, you'd have to be in favor of flooding a large part of River Edge. Just because someone wrote up the design a decade ago doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Thank you.
And we're talking about, this is one
Okay.
phase of a $3.2 million project. So remember, we're not just talking about
Ed,
$800,000.
you had the floor twice already, so if there's no other comments from the public, can I please have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 1832 regarding the Safe Streets to School Improvement?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Marquardt?
Yes.
Councilman DePaolo?
No.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
No.
Councilman Papalayo?
Yes.
Mayor, I just did some research. NJSA 40A2-17, bond ordinance shall be finally adopted by recording of affirmative votes of at least 2/3 of the full membership of the governing body. So that would mean that both ordinances would not pass. I stand corrected.
So we can bring this
I
back.
was unaware that bonding required 2/3. I apologize. Alan, thank you for interjecting.
Simple majority, I think they have noticed, though.
And introduce, yeah, so I
All right,
was unaware of that.
So does anybody want to make a motion to table this until Councilman Capola, Aquafreda gets back?
I'll make a motion to table it.
It's defeated. There's nothing to table.
We can bring it back. Yes, I'd like to bring that back.
Wait, we just voted on it.
Yeah, you can't. You can make a motion to bring it back for a first reading, I guess, at some
Yeah,
point
make
in
a
the future.
motion to bring it back.
But I think it's go to work session first for discussion.
All right.
All the way back.
Somebody make a motion to put it on the work session and then bring it back for a first reading at the next meeting. Both ordinances.
Can I just ask a question
Yeah.
procedurally for Alan? Is there a deadline by which we must pass this ordinance for the bond in order to continue to be in good standing with the grant?
Well, the grant does have a completion date, but I'm not aware of, a timetable at this point in time.
Did we execute the grant agreement yet?
No, we haven't had a kickoff meeting.
Or have we executed the grant agreement with the federal,
I don't
or
believe
you would have
so.
signed it, Mayor, so did we?
I don't recall signing
I
any
don't believe
grant
we've seen
agreement.
it yet.
Ordinance number 1833, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 1820 to fix salary, wage, and compensation for employees of the Borough of River Edge for the year 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded for a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any member on the public wish to be heard on salary ordinance 1833? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public hearing on
So
ordinance
moved.
number 1833?
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman DePaolo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dees?
Yes.
Councilman Leon?
Yes.
Councilman Papalato?
Yes.
All right, resolutions by consent. We have resolution 15-176, up to and including 15-195, the payment of bills. Would any member of the governing body like to pull out for separate discussion or a vote any of the resolutions on the list?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to call out 15188 for a separate vote.
15-188. That's for the PTO raffle?
Yes.
Is that due
I'm a
conflict?
co-chairperson of that event, and I'm going to need to abstain.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, Ed.
179 and 187, please.
179 for Cherry Blossom Park,
And 187,
and 187 for
Fifth Avenue.
Fifth Avenue?
Yep.
What about 189? That one? You need to abstain from that?
No, for Brantwell? No, I'm not running the raffle.
Okay. Let's begin with 15-179, which is to go out to bid on Cherry Blossom Park. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman DePaolo?
No.
Councilwoman Dees?
Yes.
Councilman Leon?
No.
Councilman Papalato?
Yes.
All right, it's 3-2, that resolution passes. Next is 15-187, authorize the clerk to go out to bid for Fifth Avenue road improvements, Section 2, at the intersection of Fifth and Wayne. Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I'm sorry. I'm
This is the
talking.
next phase DOT grant for Fifth Avenue
187.
paving curbs.
Yes.
Councilman DePaolo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dees?
Yes.
Councilman Leon?
No, because, again, I don't think Mr. Costa gave us a clear indication last time of his striping plan with respect to Section 2 on Fifth Avenue. I didn't get, I'll respectfully disagree with Mr. Costa's interpretation of this current striping on Fifth Avenue with the solid shoulder/parking lane and the misplaced sharrows. But on the revised plan, which I will not sign tonight, he shows a dashed line now for parking with the sharrows at a different distance than the other sharrows were in Section 1. And I think it's incompatible. It's, again, I'll respectfully disagree with Mr. Costa on the design intent, but I don't think it's an appropriate plan, and I'm not going to support it. No.
Okay.
Councilman Papalato?
Yes.
All right, that is adopted. And next, 15-188, the grant raffle license to the PTO of the Roosevelt School.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have one abstention.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Bastide. Can I have a motion by consent for the remainder of the resolution list that appears on our agenda, with the exception of 15-195, which will be separately moved by our finance chair?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Ed, 15-195.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee. Now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $7,159,725.91. Capital account, $74,445. Recreation account, $1,840.26. Trust other account, $5,980.66. Open space account, $7,787.86. Trust other developer account, $2,037.50. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Now we open the hearing to the public on any issue. So moved? Is there a motion? So moved. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I see one hand up.
George Dempsey, 151 Concord Drive. I'd like to speak about the proposed redevelopment for 3 and 5 Newbridge Road in downtown River Edge. First off, I'd like to say that in general, I'm opposed to redevelopment because I think it's a very heavy-handed approach to economic growth. But that being said, if you do insist on going on with the project, there are 3 modifications that would be good for the environment. First of all, because that area is prone to flooding, it would be a good idea to have the building actually elevated like some of the other buildings are on stilts with parking underneath. Second of all, I would like to see the sidewalks to be wider than normal, maybe 7 feet if you could, even if that means not having trees along the curb, because wider sidewalks encourage more walking. Third, when it comes to traffic, a lot of the air pollution and gas burning comes when cars have to stop and start, so a good flow of traffic is important. I've noticed with the buildings in Hackensack where there's medium density, the well-designed buildings have some sort of circular driveway where cars can get off the road and stop to pick people up and drop people off, and then they get back on the road, so they're not blocking traffic and causing other cars to stop behind them. So that would be a good improvement.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Norma Gottlieb from 50 Valley Road, regarding stores. I don't understand why Bergen County residents who have been long-term members and do most of the volunteering would not be permitted to vote for officers. Considering that they do most of the volunteering and they're much more active than the River Edge residents, I feel that they're being discriminated against, and we could lose some of them. They may be entitled to that with all their efforts that they're not being recognized, that they're not permitted.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Councilman
Just give us your name again for the record.
Sandra Berlin, 373 on
Just the opposite from what you said, Ellen, has been taking place. I have been strengthening over the years and making SCORE a much better organization than when I found it. And by doing anything that this latest thing is will weaken the organization, because the people from River Edge who want to vote are not the people who volunteer, and as a matter of fact, they've been very inappreciative of anything I've done. They've been making all sorts of problems and standing in the way of anything I've tried to do. And they are not, this organization is not consisting of those people. It is the people that I've been working with and that I've been doing a glee club, well, any kind of club, are not the people from River Edge. most of them don't take advantage of anything we do. They don't participate in anything. They just will play Rummy Cube or whatever they want to get out of the organization. I mean, it's a socialization thing, but they don't strengthen the organization. People come in and are there for a while, and they will not come back. And it took me many years, for the past 10 years, to get to where we are today. And it hasn't been from the present membership that consisted of River. I basically brought in the Bergen County people because we needed help. There was nothing I could do without those people. And this is not going to strengthen the organization, which I think I've done over the past years. This is going to weaken it. And I really feel badly to see that happen because I worked very, very hard for this organization. This is nothing but another means of trying to not do the right thing.
Yes, anybody else?
Hi, Elizabeth Odens, 547 Monroe Court. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you, Mayor, and the Council for passing Resolution 15184 for stigma-free River Edge. This is something that the Board of Health is supporting, and especially in Mental Health Awareness Month, given that 1 in 4 individuals are affected by mental illness, and the vast majority don't get treatment for reasons of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, fear, and embarrassment. And I think by declaring River Edge stigma-free, it's taking a step towards making it a more visible issue, and we look forward to partnering to work on behalf of everybody.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for your service to the Board of Health. Yes.
My name is Michael Harlow. I live on 30 Grove Street. I thought there was going to be a discussion about Grove Street tonight. Maybe I missed the thing a little late. Was there?
I did give a report on Grove Street because we had a dumping problem there.
Yes.
That was cleaned up. We had a contractor who was using or accessing the borough easement there that we had to deal with, getting him to remove his equipment and putting the boulders back. But we really need a long-term solution for Grove Street. So if you want to, now's a good time for you to give the council your opinion on what do you think on any further improvements that you think are worthwhile for us to make there.
I have to say, the parking that you put in seems to be working. I was afraid it was going to be too much in and out. It's only at a certain time, so that I'm not displeased.
Right. It relatively has a low impact on.
Yes. But we got to finish stuff there, and it's getting old. I've been there 24 years, 25 years, and I don't know what the answer is, but I know it's a mess. I mean, to look out. You do the best you can, I guess, but something's got to be done with the look of it.
Right.
I don't know the answer, but maybe it's,
We had money that we had set aside in our capital budget if that parking was, if there was a demand for additional parking, to remove the concrete slabs, to pretty it up a little bit more, to open up the easement and to pave it.
If I'm opposed to the parking, I guess that would be dressing it up a little bit.
Right.
It's sad to say that, I'm living across the street from the parking lot, but if anybody's been there, it's not such a pretty street. The street could be improved, and I hate to say, if taking out the slabs and making more parking, at least it will be new parking lots.
Right.
As bad as that is to say,
Mhm.
I'm living across the street from the parking lot, but I guess it could be.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
What was your address, sir?
30 Grove Street.
30 Grove. Anybody else? Somebody else had their hand up here in this third row? No? All right. Motion to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
This, I've never been so moved to.
This is how it reads?
This is the existing membership.
Okay, all right.
Need an all in favor
All in favor to adjourn the meeting?
to close to the public.
The public.
Oh, all in favor?
I have
Is there anything else we
few
have to-
comments. Just-
What?
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to say that I had the pleasure of meeting Senator Cory Booker last night. He came to the Rosenbaum Yeshiva across the street at their annual scholarship reception, and he gave a great speech about education, and congratulations to all the recipients of the honor of being recognized at the scholarship reception. The building inside, they have a state-of-the-art gymnasium, and I was told by Rabbi Rosenbaum, 1,800 students attend that school. So it was very interesting, and I want to thank them for their hospitality. That is all. Oh, everyone have a happy Mother's Day. That is a mother. And if you're a father, treat the mothers correctly.
Of course, of course.
Any other comments from council?
Mayor, one comment. Just want to make a clarification. There was an article in the town news last week, or the week before, River Edge opts not to seek grant funds. And it quotes Marlene Casey, Capital Alternatives, who is our grant consultant. And the quote that was in the paper was, she was talking about the guide rail down Riverside Way, and she says, if there would be a serious accident there and you haven't addressed this issue, I feel sorry for the borough. You have a lot of insurance, I guess. That's what she had said. Well, what wasn't put in the article, which Ms. Casey knew that night, was that we did put money in the capital budget to replace the guide rail because we were told it was deficient. That's a $30,000 project. So here we go again. She came in and proposed a $300,000 fix for a $30,000 project. She says, you know, the pavement is atrocious, a lot of colorful words. And again, the same thing. I think it's the service to at least not mention that the one safety issue that she mentioned is being addressed proactively by the council for the amount of money it should be. So instead of taking a $30,000 project, turning to $300,000, she gets her $30,000 fee on top of it, plus another $100,000 or $90,000 to $100,000 in soft costs. We're fixing the problem for the $30,000. Now, if it's better to spend $400,000 and get a little more niceties, maybe. But again, if these were areas that we thought were in needing of priority work, we would put in the capital budget in the first place, and we could certainly do that if the council so chooses. But I just think that, I think in the future, I would hope, you know, when articles are written like this, it does give the whole story, because it did give a misimpression, because a couple people said to me, you know, we have a safety issue there, how come we're not addressing it? Well, we are addressing it, so I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Anything else?
I have one more thing, sorry. I just want to say congratulations to our borough. We were listed as the number 30th top safest city in the country. And if you go on safewise.com, you will see Wyckoff is 29th and we are 30. So congratulations to our borough for being number 30 out of the entire country in safe cities.
All right, motion to adjourn?
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I texted him